There is a version of you that you have never shown anyone, a you that lives in there, silent, watching everything you do and everything you fail to do. And as strange as it sounds, that hidden version of you, the one you work so hard to suppress, is the exact version that could transform your entire life. I want you to think about a moment. Maybe it happened last year, maybe last week. You were standing at the edge of something, a decision, an opportunity, a conversation you needed to have. Your heart was pounding. Something inside you said clearly, "This is it, go." But then, almost instantly, another voice appeared. Quieter, colder. What if you're not ready? What if it goes wrong? What if they see who you really are and walk away? And you froze, not because you were weak, but because something invisible grabbed you by the waist and pulled you back to the exact same place you've always been. You know that feeling, that invisible elastic, that moment when what you want is crystal clear, but your legs refuse to move. What is that? Where does it come from? And more importantly, why does it get stronger the closer you get to something that actually matters? Carl Jung called it the shadow, and what he discovered about it will change the way you see yourself forever. Let me start with what the shadow is not. It is not darkness. It is not evil. It is not some monster living inside you, waiting to destroy everything you've built. It is something far more human than that, far more poetic, actually. The shadow is everything you were not allowed to be. Read that again. The shadow is everything you were not allowed to be. Think about your childhood. From the very beginning, you were a scientist, running experiments. You noticed what made the people around you warm, open, approving, and you noticed what made them cold, distant, disappointed. And so, without anyone telling you explicitly, you began to build a character, a version of yourself designed for survival in that specific environment. I am the responsible one. I am the easygoing one. I am the strong one. I don't need help. I don't make waves. I don't take up too much space. That character got you love, or at least safety, so you kept building it. But here is what happened to everything that didn't fit the character. You didn't throw it away. You pushed it down, into the basement of your psyche. The parts of you that were too loud, too ambitious, too sensitive, too bold. They didn't disappear. They went underground. And that underground space, that is the shadow. But here is the detail that will disturb you the most. The shadow doesn't just hold your weaknesses, it holds your power too. Your creativity, your voice, your anger, your desire, your ambition, your courage, your full, unedited, unpolished truth. All of it exiled, not because it was dangerous, but because at some point someone made you feel it was. Now, I want to show you how the shadow operates in your daily life, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You wake up and you know exactly what you need to do, the email you need to send, the conversation you need to have, the decision that's been waiting for 3 months. You feel it in your body, a restlessness, a pressure, a knowing, and then, almost on cue, the shadow activates. It doesn't announce itself. It never does. It comes dressed as logic. You're not ready yet. Prepare more first. It comes dressed as responsibility. This isn't the right time. There are other priorities. It comes dressed as humility. Who do you think you are to want that? The shadow doesn't sabotage you through chaos. It sabotages you through reason. And every time you listen to it, every time you retreat back to the familiar and the safe, the shadow gives you a reward, a small, temporary relief. And that relief is addictive, because shrinking hurts less than growing in the short term. Jung said something that I want you to carry with you. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Your fate is not written somewhere outside of you. It is being written by the parts of you that you refuse to look at. There is a person I want you to imagine. Her name is Layla. She is 34 years old, intelligent, capable, the kind of person who can walk into any room and immediately understand the dynamics. She has spent 10 years helping other people build their ideas, taking their rough drafts and making them brilliant. Staying in the background, she has her own ideas, better ideas, honestly. She knows it. Her closest friends know it. But every time the opportunity arrives to step forward, to launch her own thing, to put her name on something, to lead, Layla finds a reason to wait. I'll do it when I'm more prepared. I'll do it when the kids are older. I'll do it when the economy stabilizes. And the years pass. Layla is not afraid of failure. Let me be precise about that. Layla is afraid of success, because success would require her to be seen. And being seen means being judged, and being judged means potentially being rejected, and rejection is the wound the shadow was built to protect. Layla's shadow isn't hiding her weakness, it's hiding her power, and power terrifies her more than mediocrity ever could. Does any part of this sound familiar? I want to ask you a question, and I want you to answer it with your body before you answer it with your mind. Who are you afraid to become? Not who you're afraid to fail as, who you're afraid to become, because the most terrifying version of you is not the one who crashes and burns. It is the one who succeeds, fully, unapologetically, the version that speaks the truth, even when the room goes quiet, the one who sets the boundary and holds it, the one who charges what their work is actually worth, the one who takes up space without apologizing for existing. That version lives in your shadow, and your shadow guards it with every fear it has. Why? Because if you became that person, everything would have to change. The relationships that depend on you staying small, the identity built on staying safe, the story you've been telling yourself about why you haven't done it yet. The shadow is not afraid of your failure. It is afraid of your brilliance. Because if you become who you're afraid to be, you lose every excuse to hide. Jung called the process of integrating the shadow individuation. It sounds philosophical, it is, but it is also completely practical, and I want to walk you through it now. The first step is honest observation, not self-judgment, observation. You simply begin to notice, when do I freeze? What situations make me shrink? Where do I keep repeating the same pattern? Different people, same dynamic. Different job, same feeling. Different city, same story. You are not looking for what is wrong with you. You are looking for the shape of your shadow. The second step is something most people skip, and it is the most important: acceptance. The shadow does not dissolve when you fight it. It dissolves when you witness it. When you say, I see you. I know what you're protecting. I know where you came from. Not with shame. With something that resembles, surprisingly, tenderness. Because your shadow was built by a child who was trying to survive. It doesn't need to be attacked. It needs to be understood. The third step is conversation. Ask your shadow directly. What are you trying to protect me from? What are you afraid will happen if I take this step? The answers will surprise you, because the shadow always has a reason. It learned somewhere in your history that being big was dangerous, that wanting more was greedy, that showing emotion was weakness, that standing out meant being cut down. Those lessons made sense once. They don't anymore. And the fourth step is the one that requires everything: conscious choice. You choose to act, not after the fear disappears, but with the fear present. The shadow will scream. It will manufacture emergencies. It will give you 17 convincing reasons to wait one more day. You act anyway, not because you are fearless, but because you are finally clear on what the fear is actually protecting. And you have decided the thing it's protecting you from is exactly where you need to go. Here is what happens when you begin this work. Something cracks open, not dramatically at first. It is subtle. Notice you said something in a meeting you would have swallowed before. You held a boundary that would have dissolved 3 months ago. You started a project without waiting until it was perfect. Small things. seemingly small things, but they accumulate into something seismic. Because integration is not a one-time event, it is a direction, a practice, a commitment to stop outsourcing the authorship of your own life to your fears, and at some point, you cannot predict when, you look back and the corridor is different. Those closed doors you used to run past, you've opened a few of them, and what you found behind them wasn't the monster you expected. It was the part of you that was always there, waiting. Your voice, your courage, your creativity, your capacity to lead, to love without hiding, to build without apologizing, to be here, fully, completely, without footnotes. Jung wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, not because who you are is frightening, but because accepting yourself completely means you can no longer hide behind who you aren't." I want to leave you with this. The version of you that scares you is the version of you that will free you. The anger you suppress, it contains your boundaries. The ambition you've been ashamed of, it contains your direction. The sensitivity you've been hiding, it contains your depth. The boldness you've been dimming, it contains your life. You don't need to become a different person. You need to stop running from the person you already are. That version of you is not somewhere in the future waiting to be earned. It is not contingent on the right circumstances, the right timing, the right amount of preparation. It is here. It has always been here. Underneath the performance, underneath the approval-seeking, underneath the careful management of how others see you. The shadow is not the enemy of who you could become. The shadow is the doorway. Walk through it. And if this reached you today, if something in these words lit up something in your chest that has been dark for a while, that is not an accident. That is the part of you that already knows it's time. The only question left is, are you willing to become who you've been afraid to be? Leave me a comment below. Tell me, who is the version of you that scares you most? I read everything, and I promise you, you are closer than you think.